Trump, during the debates, said something about black jobs disappearing because of immigration.
As sure as you're sitting there, the fact is that his big kill on the black people is the millions of people that he's allowed to come in through the border. They're taking black jobs now, and it could be 18, it could be 19, and even 20 million people. They're taking black jobs, and they're taking Hispanic jobs, and you haven't seen it yet, but you're going to see something that's going to be the worst in our history.
And I understand that there are people that don't want to give Trump credit for saying it, and they're pissed off he said it because he made points saying it. Because anytime people speak up about anything affecting black people, that's going to be a problem if you're the Democratic Party, because the Democrats want all the black people to think nobody else can read a book or know anything or have anything to add to black people's situation. Yeah, they want to protect the black vote so bad that they made black people feel offended by somebody saying immigration hurts black jobs. But they are right, because immigration doesn't only hurt black jobs, it also hurts poor white jobs too. And poor Asian jobs and poor Latino jobs, for that matter. That every Latino person in America is a new immigrant. Okay, fine. You don't want to give Trump credit? I want to double down and say if it was Kamala Harris that said, we're losing black jobs, we need to get more black jobs, nobody would complain. All these people that are out here dissing that statement would have never said anything. If it would have been Kamala Harris, she said, fine. If Biden said, hey, I created X amount of 100,000 black jobs, nobody would say, what's a black job? They say, oh, you mean jobs that black people have. Okay, cool. Fine. Here's my point. There are certain jobs or certain industries where black people really don't have skin in the game. You know what I'm saying? So few black people are in certain industries that it's ridiculous. Folks, what I'm trying to tell you is that the media and the movies and the TV, they lie to you. I know you're shocked, right? You really think there are zombies. You really think there is a machine that fell from the sky that's giving people clues on what they could be. There's a movie show like that. I think it's on Apple or something. You really believe that Arnold, or that guy with that big nose that time that was in that show, that Muppet was a real person? Alf. You really think Alf is real? No, TV's a lie, and it lies about everything, Johnson. It lies to you about how well black people are doing. And there are certain jobs that were historically black jobs, meaning jobs black people had abundantly. Here goes some fact checks, okay? Black Americans make up 2%, less than 2% of Fortune 500 CEOs. So whenever you see a show and it's got a black person as the CEO, you need to cut that crap off because it's a lie. Less than 2% of partners in law firms are black. Less than 2%, Johnson. So being a law firm partner is not a black job because only less than 2% of black people typically have that job. So that show Suits, or that show, the one that was on the thing with the black lady, and they had all these, Delroy Lindo was in it. I don't know, and they got all these black people playing these powerful roles from L.A. Law with Byron Gumbel, whatever his name is, Blair Underwood, and these other black. These are all lies, Johnson. That's why it's called TV. L.A. Law was a lie. Less than 3% of senior level staff in the financial industry are black. Senior level staff in the financial industry. Nah, we're not killing it on Wall Street. No. That's not it. That's a lie. Less than 3% of investment professionals. Less than 2% of recent hires at tech firms. Nah, man, Elon Musk was around a bunch of Asians, Indians, and white folks. That's why he talks like that, and that's why his pants are so tight. It ain't a lot of black people in those rooms. Somebody who's been in the tech industry. I've worked in a number of tech startup companies, like the one Steve Case founded, Revolutionary Health Group, that was a major contender against WebMD here in DC. Hey guys, if y'all watching, and I was like one of 3 black people in a 300-person staff, and I was running a help desk. And I was doing good. Less than 2% of school teachers and administrators are black men. I had Musa Abdullah on the show telling you that.
By not putting forward a concerted recruitment effort for Black males in the classroom, because right now, Black men, we only comprise less than 2% of all educators in the country. So when I say that this data has been hidden, it's not been utilized, not just for the Black community, but for all people in this country, it's there.
So what? Being a school teacher is not a Black job, Johnson. Why? Because ain't enough of us being school teachers. In less than 2% of the nation's 300 colleges and universities, tenured faculty are Black Americans. Less than 2%. And go ahead and take off Dr. Cornel West because he lost his gig. So Eddie Glide is now at Princeton. It's one of 2% of Black professors who are tenured at these universities. How can it be a Black job if none of us have them? Less than 2% of film executives and directors who are members of the Academy of Motion Pictures, Arts, and Sciences. Less than 2%. Ask Roland about this. Roland's a pain in the ass, but he keeps sounding the alarm. Less than 2% of advertising expenditures goes to Black media outlets. That's why there's hardly any Black media outlets, because we don't get the funding. When I ask you to join the show, it is as annoying as it is, I really need you to. Just ask Roland. Black women make up 2%, less than 2% of lawyers. Black women make up less than 2% of doctors. Black men make up less than 2% of lawyers and less than 2% of doctors. Black Americans make up less financial advisors, according to industry execs. Make up less than all financial advisors, according to the industry executives interviewed by financialplanning.com. Not a lot of Black financial planners. Black Americans own less than 2% of U.S. land. In fact, we own about the same amount of land that we owned in 1874. Yeah. Less than 2% of U.S. farms are Black owned. Having a farm is not a Black job, Johnson. Less than 2% of Black businesses have a presence in the following industries. I ain't done. Less than 2% of Black businesses are in information technology, finance and insurance, manufacturing, agriculture, oil, gas, and mining, utilities, and wholesale trade. Probably because it takes a lot of startup capital to be in those industries. So yes, what are Black jobs? Exactly. And where'd they go? Black jobs, Johnson. Once upon a time, Black folks had jobs in construction, manufacturing, food processing, meat processing, the meat packing industry. Think back. If I got some people here in Generation X, maybe some of you younger people know too, but you remember when you used to have shows in the 80s and the 90s and the 70s or whatever, and they'd have people doing regular jobs? Remember shows like, remember Rocky? Remember Rocky was punching the side of beef? That's meat processing. Those jobs used to be occupied by Irish, Italians, and Blacks tried to get in there. But they didn't want the Blacks to get in there. And then when the unions came in there, they didn't want the Blacks to get into the unions. So they tried to strong arm Black people out of it. But see, corporate America and the business interests of America doesn't care about that as much as people think. They care about profits. So what they did is went and got some immigrants. They started opening the door to immigration, and immigration came in, and then they got the jobs. And now those the immigrants will take less money, so they outplaced not only the white folks that worked there, but the Black folks who were there in smaller numbers. So construction is another industry. My dad was he was in construction his whole life. He worked in construction up to 6 months before he died. He got a 50-year pin from his job in a watch. And he told me his whole life, he was telling me all the time about how Black people no longer, he saw it go from 40% Black to 10% Black. That was a formerly black job. Construction was a job brothers went to. How many shows did you see in the 80s or the 70s where white people, working class, blue collar, white guys and black guys were working on those, working on building bridges or building whatever? Now it's mostly Hispanic. Not knocking them, but the truth is the truth, Ruth. It is what it is. We got meatpacking industry, landscaping. Oh, we already know this though. Who was cutting grass before? Who was the ones doing this? Who was doing manufacturing jobs, farming jobs, shrimping and oystering jobs, low country fisherman jobs, custodial jobs, service industry jobs? Who was doing this stuff? It surely wasn't the college educated white guys. It was working class white folks and black people, black workers. That's who was doing them, John. Who was doing hospitality work? How many of those new jobs have been created in those industries that have not been occupied by black Americans? You ain't got to feel good about it, man. You ain't got to like it, but you got to accept the numbers, Johnson. You can't say, oh, black people need to just suck it up. Cut the cap. In the 1980s, it marked the beginning of significant changes. Decentralization of meatpacking plants to rural areas, de-unionization, and the pursuit of lower labor costs led to companies seeking out a more vulnerable and willing labor force. Once they got rid of the unions, in came the displacement. By the 90s, the demographic shift became more pronounced. Immigration laws, economic factors in Latin America, and the restructuring of the industry all contribute to an increase in Hispanic and immigrant workers. It wasn't magic, Johnson. It wasn't magic. It was done on purpose, and it benefited the corporations. And yes, immigrants benefited. They did. But let's go to the truth camp for a little bit more truth, Ruth. Hey, man, I'm not telling you this to make you not like immigrants. That would make me a racist. I'm not a racist. What I am is a realist. And what I am is telling you the truth. Okay? I got no problem with you saying, hey, let's make love. let's make, joy. Let's all love each other, right? Let's all support one another. I get you, Johnson. Here's the deal, though. I come from a group of people where we got to be careful not to be so focused on being empathetic and lose sight of our own survival. Okay? There's a place for empathy and there's a place for survival. These immigrants, when they come over, they're like, oh my God, this is so great. Thanks a lot, black people, for taking billy clubs and shots, bullet holes, billy clubs to the heads, dog bites, water hoses, and bullets, actual bullets, to secure civil rights. Thanks a lot, Johnson. And it feels really bad that you now lost your jobs because we'll take them and work them. Guess what? We're going to forfeit our pay. We're going to stand down from these jobs that we need now because you deserve them because you built this country for free against your will. No, they're not doing that, are they? They're coming in and they're saying, hey, I'm doing bad. I want you to do better. Give me a job. See, I'm not on this nonsense. Well, I'm holding them to a higher expectation. Why are you holding black Americans like me to one? Man, I've been disappointed over the last 24 hours, Johnson. I got people that I respect saying some crazy stuff. They're saying stuff like, hey, man, black people got great jobs. What are you talking about? When they know damn well that black Americans only make up like 2% of the media industry. What I'm doing right now, this that I do for a living, that makes me very rare, Johnson. There are a lot of people who are not working in these 1% jobs or these 2% jobs or even these 10% jobs. When I say people, I mean black people. It's not to demonize immigrants. It's to say there is a problem. There is a problem. One other thing. A lot of times when you're watching a program on MSNBC or basically any place that's not Fox, they'll tell you how upset the Republicans are about immigration. And are always painted as if the white people, because that's who they're talking about. Once again, there's not enough black people represented in the Republican Party to even really say they're talking about black people, right? So basically, that's why they say the Republican Party is a white party. But that would kind of shatter this whole conversation, wouldn't it? Where they pretend to be offended when I say black job, white job. They know they paint Republicans like it's the white party, though, right? Back to my point. They want to paint it as if all the white people that are upset about immigration are all a bunch of racists. They never tell the truth. And some of those people come from working class white families where their parents or their kids couldn't afford to go to college and didn't want to take out hundreds of thousands of dollars of debt. So they had blue collar jobs, and now those jobs are mostly gone because of immigration. Yeah, some people are upset about crime or an incident that's been inflated by right-wing talking points or what have you, right? I get that, right? Drugs, and they say that's, coming across the border. I get that. But not everybody. Some people are upset about the lack of job opportunities that they had when they were coming up that their kids don't have. I've had conversations with white folks, white fathers who worry about their kids not being able to have the same standard of living that they enjoy. Just knowing they got a house and their son or daughter ain't going to be able to keep it because there's no way for them to make the same income because the jobs have dried up. They don't tell you that. They make you think everybody's racist, and race is the whole reason for everything. That's not it. I'm not telling you this right now because I want you to hate immigrants. Nah, I want you to love black people, man. That's all. Love black people like I love black people. Love black people like you love your people. Yeah, that's it. Love black people like you love your people. And realize we're at the bottom of the list. And what should have happened was black Americans should have moved up with white Americans. That's what should have happened. But the racists kept us out. And then instead of letting black folks move into these industries, they screwed themselves. The politicians got rid of the unions. And then they brought in outside workers. And then in the jobs that couldn't be outsourced to other countries, they imported their own third world workers. That's what happened. And it's going to keep happening. It's going to happen to those people too. You think this is going to stop? This won't stop. Once those immigrants come in and they become fully American. When they become fully American and they get their rights, they're going to demand stuff too. They're not going to be third-class citizens as long as we were third-class citizens. They're going to make their demands. And then you know what America will do exactly? It will do exactly what Joe Biden said. They will go get more immigrants. And they'll keep the process going of out displacing the current workforce and replacing it with more desperate workers who they can pay less, who don't cry about not getting days off, who don't complain about raises, who send the bulk of their money back home anyway, where $5 an hour or whatever sounds great to them because where they come from is so little. The cost of living is so low. They want to paint this type of conversation as being horribly racist or xenophobic or something, whereas I didn't even grow up using. I don't hate anybody because of where they come from, man. That's stupid shit. But what I do hate are lies. And what I do hate is learning that this situation has been going on since the 80s. And my dad tried to tell me and I was too dumb to understand. And now I got a platform. I ain't going to stop talking about it. So if y'all going to go on these platforms and you're going to act like it's offensive for Joe Biden or Trump to say black jobs, I'm going to ask you to do something about it. Correct these fields. Correct these fields where there's less than 2% that black people are 2% of or less than 2% of. And make it so that black jobs are not just the formerly known as landscape and construction, manufacturing. Make it so that we actually do have a slice of the pie in these big tech jobs. And don't tell me you're giving me semiconductors or chips or whatever Biden put in his legislation, when at the end of the day, we don't get those jobs. We're not getting those jobs. Even the SBA loans that I hear Biden and Kamala Harris bragging about. You know the percent of SBA loans Black Americans got? 2%. 2%. Kamala's running around with Steve Harvey and D.L. Hughley kissing her butt, talking about the great initiatives of Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. Meanwhile, we get less than 2% of SBA funding. And now that you're going to increase it, guess who they opened it up to? You already know. New immigrants. Same thing with the home loans, the down payment on the home loans. Guess who they opened that up to? Immigrants as well. There's no such thing. If there's no such thing as Black jobs, there's no such thing as working class jobs. Because that's what Black jobs were. Black jobs and working class jobs are the same jobs. Trump is an inartful speaker, man. He ain't the best messenger. If you want that guy to spread your message, maybe you should do it yourself. I'll take that all day. That's true. But I don't get to choose who says the truth, man. For me, I'm glad somebody up there brought up Black jobs. I'm glad somebody up there said something of value to Black people. If not, we'd have just had Joe. We'd have just had him spew the same old talking points. We own 2% of the wealth in a country we built for free, and we're 14% of the population. And I ended on this. If you're offended by the term Black job, but you are not offended by the fact Black Americans make up 40% of the homeless rate in America, and 50% of homeless families in America. So you want to be offended about the term Black jobs. Be offended about the very real situation of Black life, man. And that's why I can't stand the Democratic Party. They use us. They use us, but they do not fight for us, build for us. All right, that's it, man. I said I wasn't going to get upset tonight. I tried my best, Buck. I tried my best, Mrs. Black, but it is what it is. The lying and denying cannot continue. I feel ashamed for those people that went out this week. Now, it's one thing if you don't know anything and you're just a person online who saw something trending and you want to talk about it, and I get it. But there are people that knew better. There are people that know better. They know the plight. There are people who are sociologists. They have economics degrees and sociology degrees. They know this stuff. They know the plight of Black America, and they allow this lie. They allow this just because it was beneficial to defend Biden. Everyone who championed those talking points about Black jobs without putting it in the context of saying, hey, working class jobs. I've seen studies, legit studies, Johnson, that show when the immigration numbers went up, mass incarceration numbers of Black Americans, particularly men, went up. We all know there's a direct correlation between poverty, economics, and crime. So it makes sense, don't it? There are people that are learned people. There are professors. There are sociologists, economists with more degrees. 3, 4, 2, 1. There are degree professionals who know this data. And they looked right in the camera and lied. Went right on Twitter and lied. Lied like a rug, Johnson. And I can't let them get away with it. Yes, we had some people that don't want immigrants here because don't like people other than themselves. I get it. I know we got some racists. But beyond that, that ain't everybody, Johnson. Some people some people know that the competition is winning, and it ain't us. And remember, this was done for corporations, not because they love the immigrant. No, because they use these people. That's it. It's not love. It's not empathy. It's not sympathy. It's not support. It is for corporate profits to pay less without having to employ Americans who know what breaks are. Americans who want family leave. Americans who want the appropriate gear. Americans who will demand training. Americans who have an expectation of civil rights and workers' rights. All right. Enough, Johnson. Enough. A man convinced against their will is of the same opinion still. I ain't here to convince you. I'm here to give you information. You got to convince yourself, Johnson. If you want to come in here, you want to believe Joy Reid's looking out for you. If you want to believe Rachel Maddow ain't lying. If you want to believe Keith Olbermann. You want to ride with Don Lemon, that's on you, man. But I'm going to make it hard for you because I'm going to give you some facts. You can look them up. I looked them up. That's how I got them. I didn't make them up. They weren't emailed to me by Democratic operatives. And best believe everything you've seen on MSNBC, CNN, CBS, ABC went in email accounts from the DNC telling those people what to say this week. That's why they're all saying the same thing. Hey, it's one day. It's just one day. He's been president for 3 years. He lied. They did a fact check. They all sound the same because they are the same. Capiche?